This was supposed to be our grounded movie, our realistic movie. And you see what a job we did of that.
I really thought it's about time to ground myself. I'm in my 60s. This is sort of late phase Maddin. I don't know. Yeah, I want to shoot on location.
Time to sell out.
Yeah, that's right. Time to just sell out.
The first question I got to ask you is, this movie, it's very interesting, it's very weird, very quirky, very out of this world in a lot of ways. How did you guys just come up with this? Where did Rumours come from? That's my first question.
I think we're beginning to wonder that ourselves. I don't know. You have any theories?
It was supposed to be our movie, because we've seen our other movies and his other movies. They're not particularly grounded in reality. They're grounded inside of your head, mostly.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be our grounded movie, our realistic movie. And you see what a job we did of that.
I really thought it's about time to ground myself. I'm in my 60s. This is sort of late phase Maddin. I don't know. Yeah, I want to shoot on location.
Time to sell out.
Yeah, that's right. Time to just sell out. See what happens. I need that nest egg.
So the starting point was, some kind of joint obsession with G7 summits and how funny they seem to us. They're just, they're probably not that funny if you watch them alone, but if you get together with your friends and some popcorn and watch footage of a G7 summit, it becomes really funny, and then you have favorite characters and these buffoonish leaders interacting with each other becomes really funny. So we started from there and meant to keep it pretty grounded, but we don't write or think.
We don't ground well.
In grounded ways. So
No.
the realism sort of is left by the wayside.
I have to say, I got
quickly.
genuine thrills from just watching real-world leaders that are usually seen at the top of their food chains, but all of a sudden with each other, and then there's hierarchies, natural hierarchies that form. Donald Trump is famously pushing leaders aside at one summit, and I don't know, it's just great seeing, Boris Johnson's hair next to some other leader, just seeing how tall everyone is. I don't know, it's like maybe one of those a variety show almost, or something, or like vaudeville or something like that, where there's jugglers with fiddle players and baritones and trained seals and things. So and just the way they move about with each other and try and think their job there at a summit is to impress the world with their surety, and just how ridiculous they come off in these attempts.
Definitely. I gotta ask as well, because this is really interesting. I've never seen a movie where there's 3 different directors credited from start to finish. I've seen movies where there's directors credited for different segments,
an anthology film.
Yeah, an anthology film. But I've never seen it where it's a cohesive story from start to finish, and I think that's really fascinating. So, can you tell me a bit about the process of directing as a trio? Because it's very fascinating.
Yeah, well, it slowly evolved that we started working together. These guys came on board a decade ago to help me in my solo career, but they were just contributing so much that it became obvious that it would be utterly dishonest to take sole credit as a director while these people were doing as much as I was, and it just evolved naturally that we fit into the roles required. The roles are slightly different from project to project, but we just basically are 3 filmmakers that make the picture. It would be boring to break down exactly what we did, but we just did it, and we get along well, and we think alike. And if we do disagree ever, we have a very quick way of settling things, and it's never a matter of one person winning out over another. We have a quick discussion, and often someone who wants one thing and the other person wants another. You have a quick discussion and you end up with a third thing instead that feels better to everybody. So I don't know, it's just a way we have of communicating with each other that works and probably wouldn't work for most other people. So it's rare. I don't think you'll see many 3-headed directors.
Never seen one before.
No.
Seen duos.
This is what they look like.
Such as it is.
Yeah, it's a good example to lead off of. Now, for lack of a better term, I have to ask, whose brainchild was the giant brain?
I don't know if we can take individual credit. That seems to run contrary to our team esprit de corps.
It's not the first film we've made together with a giant brain in it. and it won't be the last. So
But the brains are getting successfully smaller.
they're getting smaller, though. The last one
Yeah.
is bigger than this.
Yeah, and this is the most centrally featured brain. But
Yeah.
I've had, in the Forbidden Room, it ends with a climactic explosion of Brain Island, an island that's an island-sized brain. And I've made the movie Brand Upon the Brain, which has life-size brains in it. But this is the hatchback-sized brain seemed to be the magic. Just the sort of Goldilocks brain, just
perfect.
right.
Just
Yeah.
right. Just right. Another thing I love about this movie, like you said, it starts off grounded and then it veers deeper and deeper into like chaotic insanity, weird, very weird, and I love that about it. Like the big brain, and then the bog bodies. So I'm very curious. Were there any ideas like the two I just listed that didn't make it into the final cut but were discussed?
Oh, other
No,
things.
all our bad ideas made it into this. That's what
We
you're
never-
asking.
we never leave
said no
anything
to
out.
nothing, and it all ended up in there. And once it added up to 90 pages, we called it done and shot it.
We
rejected some.
Yeah.
cut
No,
some
we
things.
run reality checks on ourselves now and then, and
Yeah.
we would even put on trial the bog bodies and the brain and everything, and just keep it a G7 thing that's completely grounded from start to finish, and that would have been a slightly different movie, and it maybe would have been a better movie, but we finally decided that this was necessary, the exact recipe of strangeness and groundedness.
There was at some point maybe subplots that took place, like flashbacks that took place not during the one night.
That's right.
It takes place on.
We
But
had,
those felt like cheats.
The Italian leader was
Had a flashback.
dreaming of his
previous summits or something.
Yeah, previous summits and going back home and things like that. But they would have involved like 3 extra shooting days,
Yeah,
and so
too
for
impractical.
both practical and
Discipline.
and aesthetic reasons, they were chucked, and I'd forgotten about those until now.
I see. And you were just talking about the G7 and like the flashbacks, and it reminded me of how much I love this ensemble cast. And do you each have a favorite member of the G7?
We could never say.
The actual G7.
Like picking
Oh,
your favorite kid.
of the actual
Of the
G7 or of our actors?
Oh, ensemble.
No,
I
I
know
love
you're
their.
picking a favorite child, but
They were all like unbelievably miraculous to us, and I mean that. They're like
Extremely pleasing for different reasons.
All of them
yeah.
great to work with in different ways. Like some of them, Charles were a little scary at first because
He's a terrifying
he's always
person.
playing scary characters.
Yeah.
And he has an unbelievable way of making you being like really sweet and then whispering something sinister in your ear as he's kissing you on the cheek. It's really
I'm gonna kill you.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, something like that. It's
exactly.
really funny. But no, they were.
He's
they were
mostly a warm,
Yeah, he's
avuncular fella.
they're all wonderful, and every performance was leagues better than we deserved or expected, I think.
Definitely.
Alicia Vikander came in late
Yeah.
to the shoot, and she was really concerned about being in a completely different movie than everyone else. So she did ask to watch whatever assembly we had up at that time to help her get up to speed, and she showed up. She wasn't feeling well, but she just took a big NyQuil or something and fought through and was in the movie right away. She even showed up. I first saw her just for blocking, and she came out and did the scene like a performance that was
very
shootable.
disciplined, yeah.
It was shootable just for the blocking, but everyone else was wearing parkas because it was only +2 that night, so we couldn't shoot it. But she just got into the spirit of things, and so we love her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got lucky.
I love hearing that about like directors talk about their actors when they're like troopers and they're just like there for everything. It's wonderful. That
Yeah,
Well, they were.
it was
They
wonderful.
too. Like Kate, who's an amazing trooper. She would be the one cheering us up. Like
Yeah.
normally, I don't know. You'd think it would be up to director to help an actor's morale, but most of the time, Kate was helping,
Yeah.
encouraging us. You're doing fine.
You're doing good, guys. You're doing good.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is hopefully it's my favorite one. There's a lot of things I like about this movie that are just very unexplained, and it adds to the craziness and wackiness of the movie. And my favorite one is the crisis. It's alluded to at times, but I'm curious for each of you, what do you think the crisis they met up to discuss?
Oh, the crisis, the annual crisis.
I don't even know. I don't think we had a crisis in mind. There was whatever we were writing it. There was a crisis. Later,
there's always
the
new
next-
crisis,
The
yeah.
next summit, there was a different crisis. The world is always there's the large. I mean, there is the larger crisis of all of us, the eventual doom of our planet by global warming. But and then everybody dies. Also, it's like everyone has their
Yeah.
own personal ongoing toboggan ride into the grave crisis.
Well, we didn't want the crisis to be
Specific,
like a specific,
yeah.
timely crisis, because then the movie doesn't age, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm reminded of the Louis C.K. Routine where he's
Canceled.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know.
So-
But the great Louis C.K. When he was asked if he thought there was life after death, and he said yes. There's a dog will catch a frisbee, and there'll be a Super Bowl, and but you just won't experience it. And yeah, there'll always be a crisis. There'll always be a Super Bowl or a dog catching a frisbee or something, until we're all obliterated by World War III, and in which case the movie will be gone
It
anyway.
would last a bit longer than that.
World War. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope that for World War XI.
Maybe I'm just being generous with our society.
Yeah.
On that note, I just want to say thank you so much again
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to
Thank
talk
you.
to me.
Thank you.
It was a
An
pleasure.
absolute pleasure, and nothing
Thank you.
but the best for the premiere tomorrow.
Thank
Thanks.
you.